Every kid has their favorite superhero. Iron Man, Batman, Superman, Black Panther. But mine is Captain America. Captain America was a really scrawny kid, thin arms, thin legs, everything. But one thing he had that was most important, I love the most, is a heart of gold. And that's what I see in my dad. My dad is my superhero. My dad taught me to be a man of God. He showed me what it means to be a man of God. One of my dad's favorite verses is 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9, which says, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. I will boast, therefore, all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me." My dad lived this verse. He loved this verse. He clung to this verse. My dad was a perseverer. He was diagnosed with epilepsy at a very young age and was a very sickly child, always going to the doctor, always going to the hospital. He was really short, about 5'4". People in school would make fun of him. They would bully him. They would literally throw his lunch down the stairs every single day. But he said, "I'm not able, but God is able." He lived that verse. He lived 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9. And with that verse, he said, "I want to be a pastor." So he went to seminary. People in seminary says, "No, he's too sick to be a pastor. He's too sick to have a wife or a child." But look at what God did. He preached the gospel in the Philippines and the United States to thousands of people. He has a wife and a son that's 6 foot tall. That son is me. He proved everyone wrong, but he said, "It was not by my own merit. It was God's. I'm not able, but God is able." My father was truly a man after God's own heart. His faith on the Lord never wavered. His faith started at the age of 7 when he went with my grandma to church in the Philippines in a sister's meeting. He would sit there for hours on end, listening to them talk about God. That's where he started his relationship with Jesus Christ. From that point on, he would talk with anyone and everyone about the love of Jesus Christ. It was such a fire for the Lord, it was unmatched. One of the biggest stories that affected his life was of a man who was giving a sermon. During the sermon, the preacher said, "Come tomorrow if you want to hear about God and receive Christ into your life." The next day, no one came because the church had burned down. My dad didn't want to lose an opportunity to talk about God and Jesus with anyone. So that's why he would always show God through what he thought, through what he said, and especially what he did. My father was a caring man. He loved people so much. He wanted to take care of everybody, and he was constantly giving. When he first immigrated to the United States, he wasn't able to find a job. During his job search, instead of waiting for jobs to come in, he volunteered his services at a hospital and helped people in the ER. Later on in life, he became in charge of a Bible study for middle schoolers and high schoolers. Every time we would go to that Bible study, my dad would always bring food for the ones who taught, for the high schoolers and college students who taught the younger high schoolers and middle schoolers. He knew that they spent their whole afternoon preparing for that Bible study and didn't eat dinner. I'd always ask him, "Why are you doing this? They're not even your children." And he would tell me, "They are my younger brothers and sisters. They spent their time preparing and taking care of these high school and middle schoolers. Someone should take care of them as well." He cared for people as if they were part of his family. He believes everyone is part of God's family. My father taught me to be a man of God, to seek his word, and to cling on to his word when hard things happen, to persevere with God, and to give and care for others as God cared and gave to him. One of the biggest quotes that he remembers is from Charles Stanley, which says, "Put your faith, hope, and trust in God. Do not look at your circumstances. Commit yourself doing what he requires of you. Cling to promises in his word." My dad clung to the promises of